Now, for news review this morning, I've been joined in the studio by Afelmoni, former GGA president. And along the line, I'll introduce my other guests to you as they come in. Good morning, sir. It's good to see you.
Sweetie.
How are you?
The grace is keeping me.
Yeah. Just finding out this morning that your friend, your son and I
are
sort of birthday mates.
In Toronto, Canada.
Right.
Yes.
On the 27th.
27th.
And I'm 25th.
So
you have to throw us a party.
Receiving on 25th, and he swept us for 2 more days.
Yeah.
And it looks like you.
He does? Now I have to meet him. But let's get into your thoughts for us this morning. What would you share with us? I know it's a particularly interesting time to be alive and to be in the country because we have 2 legitimate presidents. But let me leave this for you. What would you share with us this morning?
At the 2024 elections, the landmark elections, refused to recede into historical oblivion, and the reasons are obvious. And His Excellency, the incumbent president, John Dramani Mahama, justifiably and understandably have every cause to bask in glory for his tenacious zeal to recapture power. But to me, the narrative shapes and will continue to shape around His Excellency the Vice President, his main contender, Alhaji Bawumia. The timeless concession and the dignity with which he did it will occupy a special place in history. And if you look at the red-hot anger, the high-voltage tensions, and the neck-deep confusion over the declaration of a certain seat, they all vindicate the rectitude of his action. If he had not done that, you can just imagine.
It would be worse than what we are seeing. I think about 76
worse than what we are
6
seeing.
Deaths reported so far.
6, yes.
And over 40 injuries. Do you think that if he hadn't done that, it would have been worse than we are seeing?
It would have been worse. The tensions would have escalated.
Right.
And once tensions escalate, then it can crystallize into violence. And once violence starts, no one can tell where and how it will end.
Yeah.
So kudos to His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Bawumia. You did the right thing, and that was so statesman-like. And I believe history will smile on him. History will vindicate what he did.
Right.
And we continue to applaud him for saving this nation from a disaster of indescribable proportions.
Well, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if you're listening to us, Afelmoni says kudos. Let's get into the newspapers. There are lots of them today, and so we try to do as many as we can.
A lot of them today.
Right. Let me start then, and then I'll come back to you. Let me start with the Daily Graphic. On the front page, citizens petition President to remove Chief Justice. I saw that story yesterday. Experts divided over Mahama's anti-corruption committee. GES launches one-stop portal for staff data. President can now assent to anti-gay bill. Supreme Court dismisses 2 suits. We brought you that story during our AM news bulletin, and then we'll get into the details in a bit. And Professor Mate launches autobiography. So let's start from the 2 suits that have been dismissed by the Supreme Court on the front of the Daily Graphic. And it reads, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo can now go ahead to either assent or decline to assent to the Human and Sexual Rights and Proper Family Values Bill, popularly known as the anti-gay bill. And this is because the Supreme Court yesterday dismissed 2 suits challenging the constitutionality of the process used by Parliament in passing the bill. And the President had indicated that he would only act on the bill after the Supreme Court had made a determination on the 2 suits. What does this mean for us going forward? Does this mean that the President, are we giving him a time frame, so to speak, that before he leaves office, he should either decline or assent to this bill? How do people feel about this? The majority of Ghanaians who were in support of this bill, how do they feel? The majority of Ghanaians who were against this bill, how do they feel? But I want to leave this to my guest in the studio. And let me usher in the two gentlemen who've just joined us. Before I come back to you, Mr. Moni. I have Remy Edmondson, General Secretary of the PPP, joining us in studio, as well as Nanaya Sapong, political assistant, I believe, to Alan Tremanting from the Movement of Change. Welcome aboard, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Right. So I'll go to After Moni before I come back to you, gentlemen. Mr. Moni, what do you make of the dismissal of these two suits that was, should I say, impeding the assent of the anti-gay bill that's, was quite controversial?
Controversial, yes. The whole petition was rooted in controversy. And we are all aware of the circumstances under which the president refused to give his assent to the bill. His executive secretary, Nana Bidu, wrote a stinker to Parliament in order to even there send a bill to him because the president, Sky and others had gone to court to question the legality of the bill. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have any law background. My knowledge in law is sketchy, but we are told that the petition failed a basic test in law, that they should have waited for the president, for the bill to be assented before even filing a petition.
Right.
So as we speak, there's no LGBTQI law until the president does the needful by giving his seal of approval to the bill. And as I said, Ghanaians are waiting because, and they are watching. History is also watching. Will the president yield to the demands of the people to approve this bill? If he doesn't, what will be the implications?
Right.
If he does, what political gains does he stand to achieve by so doing? Okay. So, and time, we should also look at the time within which he has to do this presidential duty. Time is not on his side, but at the same time, if there's the will, there's a way.
Okay.
I believe once he plucks the will to do this, it is within the bounds of possibility to pass it.
It is possible, isn't it?
It is
right.
possible.
So, Remy and Nanaya Sapong, welcome to the show. We're just discussing the dismissal of those two suits. Is the view of the court that the bill was still in the process of being enacted, for which reason they declared those suits premature? I'll give you a minute and a half, 2 minutes to either reflect on this or walk us through whatever you wanted to share with us originally in terms of your thoughts for us this morning. Remy, let me start with you.
All right. Good morning to you, sweetie.
Yeah.
Good morning, to the Joy News team. It's good to be back again.
And Afemoni, please share that.
For the elections. So, yes, yesterday, I think we had the result of the much-awaited verdict came out for this bill. And I would say, I'll trace this bill in itself. It's been very controversial right from its inception because even as Parliament debated this bill, if you remember, a lot of civil society organizations also weighed in on it and requested that we take a bit of time, and it appeared the process was being rushed through so that we really reflect on the contents of this bill and the long-term potential effect it may have on the nation. And yet again, but yes, with the president refusing to sign into law, yes, because some two individuals had taken the case to court. I personally also thought that yes, it was a bit. I saw it as a stalling tactic because it appeared there was the opposition in Parliament that was really pushing, primarily, though there were some members of the government or MPs who were pushing for this bill. I didn't see that will from the president to support this bill. I mean, and largely because of the effect it might appear.
What effect? Because I've heard other people say that it wouldn't affect our, IMF deals and World Bank. It wouldn't have actually done anything.
Yes, but in mind you, this country still largely depends on foreign aid, and we saw commentary from some of the diplomatic community, yes, urging restraints, urging caution, and all kinds of narration around this. So for me, I saw that reluctance from, and mind you, we're also going through a very tough economic period. I saw that the president was reluctant to ruffle any feathers in the international community because we still needed aid. We're still going to the World Bank for money. But, the Supreme Court has spoken that, yes, once this bill hadn't been signed into law, basically challenging it seemed a bit premature. Okay. But
you have to hold there for me.
Just in summary, yes. But I don't think, yesterday I listened to an interview of Richard Sky on their station, and he indicated that, yes, this is not the end for him, because definitely once, all the Supreme Court is saying is that the bill has not been signed yet, so you can't sue. But once it becomes law, he's still going to come back and potentially sue, because... Notice how interesting it was, though, that the president referenced the suit even before it had actually been filed at the time. Well, that is why I said that.
I get your point.
Reluctance from him.
Yeah. Nanael.
Thank you, Sudi.
2 minutes.
Good morning to your viewers. Good morning to my senior and my colleague here. Sudi, I have had a bias stand towards this whole LGBTQ.
How so? Share.
One, on my fundamentals, my foundation as a Christian, totally I am against it. Two, I come from a typical African, Ghanaian, Ashanti traditional home, all right? This is a taboo in my tradition. I would not want my children to be involved in such an act. Now, it would be very hypocritical on my side, say the least, that our courts kept this suit from February up until December. When people are calling, when Ghanaians are now calling on the incoming government to trigger Article 146, deal with certain persons who have decided to develop a certain posture on the bench, that they would come out with this verdict. Yeah, let's be real and honest with ourselves. We all knew this bill had not been signed by the president. And for that matter, it wasn't a law. We all know as commoners, roadside lawyers, that the Supreme Court only has jurisdiction over bills that have become law. I don't know if this is not... this is
over laws, not...
Over laws.
Proper laws.
Proper laws. And so if somebody has filed a suit and on the surface of it, there is no law, and you would keep it from February up until this time.
Are you saying there was
villagers
putting their thumbs? We do know that there are a lot of cases that require the attention of the Supreme Court, and they're unable to get through them at this time. So
this law,
I'm just saying, in their defense, they weren't just twiddling their thumbs.
This law has a direct effect on the foundations and the future of our children yet unborn.
Okay.
You understand? This LGBTQ thing has a direct effect on our educational system. Even the whites are fighting it.
Okay, now wrap up your thoughts.
And we would want to babysit this thing. It is wrong. And we need to call a spade a spade. There are some elements at the bench who only have or take joy in massaging political egos. We need to be honest.
All right, so there's 2 more stories in the Daily Graphic before I move to you, gentlemen, to walk us through your papers. Citizens petition president to remove Chief Justice, and experts divided over Mohammed's anti-corruption committee. I just want to do these 2 stories quickly, and I'll come to you. So citizens petition President Akufo-Addo to remove the Chief Justice, Gertrude Sakit-Okono, from office. And in a petition dated 17 December, Professor Stephen Kweku-Asare, who is a fellow of the Center for Democratic Development, grounded his petition on stated misbehavior and incompetence in relation to the Chief Justice's administrative functions as the head of the judiciary, rather than her decisions made as a justice of the apex bench. put a pin in that. And some watchers in the anti-corruption space have expressed diverse opinions on the 5-member committee assembled by President-elect John Dramani Mahama to help in the fight against corruption. Now, while both the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Edem Senanu, and political scientist Dr. Samuel Kofi Darkwa have expressed support for the President's committee, the executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Meriada, believes the committee is superficial and given that the nation is not in short supply of anti-corruption institutions. Okay, what do you make of this? And then I'll get into your papers. Mr. Moni, so first on the division over John Dramani Mahama's preparatory committee, actually. It's not the actual oral committee, it's just a preparatory one. I mean, you know we are in transition. And it looks like people aren't exactly excited over the choice of those 5 members. You can talk about Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. You can talk about, there you have it on your screen actually. Daniel Dumelovo, you have Nathaniel Kofi Boakye. I saw him trending on Twitter. They said the return of Kofi Boakye. Mr. Raymond Archer also made a name for himself as an investigative journalist. I remember how he brought some, you know, shed light on some of the elements of corruption under, is it President Kufuor's time? And then we have Martin Kpebu. I remember having Joyce Mokhtar in the studio, and I said that there's a lot of talk about Martin Kpebu. Is he going to be showing up in stuff like this? And here we have him. But yeah, let me start with you, Mr. Moni. What do you make of this? There are just 2 stories.
A formidable team, and they are discussed against corruption is well known. Okudzeto Ablakwa, for instance, has been playing a frontal role in the fight against corruption, exposing dark spots in government contracts and what have you. So he's earned a reputation for himself as somebody who can be trusted, not only on earth, but also fights corruption with all intensity and tenacity. And Kofi Boakye, we all know, also made a name in the police service. His fight against armed robbery, against crime in Kumasi, for instance, will occupy a special place in history. Kpebu Martin, vociferous when it comes to, even though sometimes his comments are laced with politics, but he's also couched some image for himself for his abhorrence against corruption. And Raymond Archer, foremost investigative journalist, he went underground, and it's surprising to see him resurface at this time. There's nothing wrong with fighting corruption. In fact, corruption is a bane to our development, and the fight against corruption is an important plank in NDC's campaign strategy. But it should be rooted in law. Whatever this committee stands to do or intends to do should not contradict what our laws state. And Meriada has pointed out that
says it's not necessary.
We have a litany of laws. We have institutions which are dedicated to fighting corruption. And the committee has assured us that they will not do anything outside the confines of law. So, as are watching, Ghanaians are alert that in your zeal to fight corruption, are you going to double the evil by victimizing, people outside the confines of law? So all that would say that yes, they have the latitude to prepare the ground for the constitutionally mandated institutions to take up the investigations. But they should tread cautiously in order not to give vent to criticism that, after all, the agenda is to victimize people unjustifiably.
Persecute.
So, yes, they should do their work, but they should subtract vindictiveness from whatever they
subtract vindictiveness. Remy Edmondson.
Yes,
what do you say?
Operation Recover or Loot was a campaign promise President-elect Mahama. I quite remember probably about a month or two before the election, 2 months before the election, I saw them going on a demonstration through the major sections of town. I mean, just that was when they started this process. But for me, setting up this committee is a vote of no confidence by the president-elect in our existing institutional bodies.
Would he be wrong? Would he be wrong in that regard? The lack of confidence already exists.
At the end of the day, this committee has absolutely no prosecutorial powers.
Yes. Okay.
All they can do, and other citizens, is just to invite the general public to share with them any suspected cases of corruption.
Yeah.
But we have the Ghana Police Service, we have CHRAJ, we have IOCO, we have the special prosecutor. So what then becomes of these institutions? So for me, I would rather that the president, yes, it's a very good initiative, but I would rather that he would have made the move to strengthen these institutions. Over time, we've all at various fora complained of political interference in these institutions. And so it's a better move, in my opinion, from President-elect Mahama would have been to have moved to ensure that these institutions can work very effectively. Because at the end of the day, whatever information this committee gets, they will still have to forward it to the police service.
You know, there was a report, Afrobarometer report, I believe, that said that Ghanaians have lost trust in the judicial system, in our parliamentarians, in the electoral commission. There's a host of them, right?
Right. That's correct.
And ponder this, I'll come to you in a bit, Nana Osapom. Would that not be an indication that John Mahama is trying to do something without these institutions that have already been tainted as corrupt?
That's the problem. You see, 6 million Ghanaians have given you their mandate. 6 million plus Ghanaians have overwhelmingly given you their mandate. Mind you, all these individuals, Kujoto Blackwire is an MP. Most likely he's either going to get, on top of this, he may either get a ministerial position or invariably get some committee in parliament to work with. How much time is he going to get on this? Mr. Dolodo, I know he's not idle. The point is that these are not full-time professionals dedicated to this kind of work. So it's for me, it sends the wrong signals. So you let us rather strengthen the state institutions, and then let us do away. Yes, it's a fact. We all have the perception that these institutions have been politicized. But I wish he would have used his power now as president-elect and soon to be president from January 7th to rather look at how he can root out that perception and then strengthen these institutions so that they can work very effectively.
And that's where the argument is.
We are paying professionals there.
This is a step in the right direction.
We are paying professionals there. We are paying professionals at all these institutions to do this work.
Okay,
what becomes of them then?
For me. Nana Osapon, do you agree with Mariada that this committee is superfluous? There's really nothing to be done because we already have institutions that have been mandated on the back of everything that we've actually discussed. What do you say?
If you had gone through Alan Chiramantin's Great Transformational Plan, now we had indicated that there were too many state agencies and institutions that had been put up to fight corruption. And as a result, there was no synchronization of their terms of reference. And so you would find the IOCO, all right, say A about a particular docket or file, and you would find CHRAJ also come to say B about that same file or docket.
In some instances, IOCO writing to OSP or the other way, asking for advice.
There was so much noise and you know, in the atmosphere when it comes to issues of corruption. And so Alan had proposed an anti-corruption czar, all right, whereby we do away with all of these institutions, then have one solid, fine agency that would be dealing with the issues of corruption without interference. Okay, and that is the only way to go if you want to deal with these corruption issues. These are very fine gentlemen. I mean, if you go on my Facebook page, I have stated that they are fine gentlemen, they are a solid team. The only person I have had issues with is Daniel Domevlo. I see him come across as the modern time Martin Amidu. All right, I see him as somebody who, from the way he does his presentations, after he had been moved from audit service, as his tone and everything, more of somebody who would go after persecutions, somebody who would do more vindictive. All right. I've stated it. That is my opinion.
All right.
That is how I see him. But that aside, I mean, if he would be able to deal with the issues devoid of all of these bitterness, pain, and being seen as somebody going after some people, then I think that it's a solid thing. But he's the only one I've had issues with.
I think
to add to it, I think that when they had been named, I was expecting the president-elect to actually have put out the terms of reference of this particular committee that he has put up. We should know what exactly. But
he's been clear. It's not. They don't have any prosecutorial role.
No, that one is very clear.
They just gather information at this point.
Very clear.
We have former
after they have gathered their evidences, after they have gathered the data they want to gather, what next? Yeah,
don't forget that the president-elect is still in transition. So this is probably preliminary work. So he assumes office, and then he.
You sound like the spokesperson.
No. Listen,
nobody is against what the president has done.
They're not here to defend themselves, right? Yeah. I'm just trying to give you the other view, right? Yeah. So it could be that this is just preliminary work.
Yeah.
In fact, let's wrap up this conversation. Someone tweeted on this, and I want us to take a look at what he said. He says that the oral team held its first meeting at 2 p.m. That's yesterday, I believe, and has resolved to work gratis. That is, they shall not be receiving any salaries, allowances, per diems, or fuel coupons. None of our activities will come at a cost to the taxpayer, and we will continue to count on your support. Let's do this for God and country. I think that wraps up the conversation.
We don't even have money to pay. You should know that.
Two things that they have money to prosecute an effective campaign.
You see, two things that the president can do to strengthen these institutions is one, the special prosecutor, make him truly independent. So long as he still reports to the Attorney General, he can never work, as we've seen. Number two is our asset declaration bill, which is really a joke, with all due respect. We need to amend that. So these are just two things I would have expected the president to have stated he's going to work on, rather than this.
But Remy, that's the point I'm making. And you say I sound like I'm speaking for them. He's not yet in office, right?
Oh, yes.
So when he actually assumes office, we have two legitimate presidents.
I am.
But one will have to wait.
We have one legitimate president.
Oh, you know what I mean. We have a president-elect, elected by the people, and we have one waiting to exit this administration. What I'm saying is that
we have shadow prime minister.
In as much as John Mahama has all his powers and all that, he still has to wait to actually assume office.
Well,
and so this is just transition preliminary work.
Personally, I don't think we need this.
Don't get us wrong. Well, what we are saying is that
Mr. Money, let's get into your newspaper. Right. I get you, yeah.
Daily Guide, Yamin, NDC tax invade PMMC Gold Center. Ashanti Regional Chief Imam dead. Anti-LGBTQ cases Nana to receive bill. Supreme Court throws out the bill. Parliament passes Boundary Commission bill. Mass transfers hit. Goy. That's Daily Guide. A lot of stories competing for space. On the front page, the anchor, Mahama under fire for snubbing, in quotes, women in oral team. That is Operation Recover or Loot.
Right.
Yes, that's that.
As Afenyo Markin questions source of funding. 2 herdsmen murdered as Akachi, heart, penis, other organs removed. Career Compass Foundation donates to schools in Semanu Letra area. Galante pit collapses, 1 dead, 3.
That's sad. Let's do one story that piques your interest.
Tax invading PMMC Gold Center. It was reported widely yesterday that Joseph Yamin, a former foot soldier of NDC, led a group of people to the airport to stop an alleged gold smuggling exercise.
Right.
And that action has attracted a lot of backlash, and it continues to attract backlash. According to PMMC, there was no way gold could be taken out of the country through legal means. So this, the gentlemen who went to the airport arrogated to themselves powers they didn't have. So this is something we need to investigate and ensure that the right thing is done. Ours is a country governed by laws, and anyone who finds himself on the wrong side of the law should be made to taste the biting edge of the law. So this is something worth following, and to ensure that the right thing is done. And those who are seen to have flouted the law should be made to take the biting edge of the law.
In terms of investigation, I mean, I'm just coming back from a long break. Have you heard anything from the police? I'm trying to search. Have they released a statement yet on that?
PMMC, but
not from the Ghana police themselves.
Not from Ghana police. I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Remy, if you want to reflect on that, that's fine.
Yes.
But let's get into your paper and then we can
Yes,
do
I'll just link that to something in my paper here about local mining contractors urge President-elect Mahama to review Minerals Commission charges. I'll just combine that with this story.
What paper is that?
That's the
Overseer.
Overseer. Yeah. So the fact is, there's a lot of opaqueness in our mining sector, and that I believe is what has given rise to some of these incidents. We've also all seen reports which suggest that the reports that our state institutions have as to the amount of gold or the value of gold that is exported out of this country.
Yeah.
External institutions report much significantly higher figures, which suggests that there's a lot of gold smuggling going on.
Leakages.
Causing, yes, a lot of financial leakages to this country. If you look at the volumes of gold that is sent out there. So I will call on, I think once again, this is a very opportune moment for the president to reform our mining sector. Over here, the local mining contractors are urging the president to review the Minerals Commission charges. And again, I would also add to it the fact that one of the other things they've called for also in the past has been the process of giving out licenses to small-scale miners. The current government or outgoing government came up with some kind of policy in that regard, but it was widely painted as something for MPP food soldiers and not something that was community small-scale mining. It wasn't to the benefit of the ordinary Ghanaian who wanted to do small-scale mining, and we've seen a complete failure.
Are you sure?
Yes,
there are some ordinary Ghanaians who benefited from the community mining.
And we've seen a complete failure of this government to tackle the Galamsey menace. And so these are things that I'll urge the incoming government, whoever he's going to, of course, he sounded caution that, yes, anyone entertaining thoughts of being appointed should really, be explained that there'll be so much accountable on them. So he should really take his time and appoint very competent and highly qualified people, not necessarily people who have done well for the party, but people who have the requisite industry experience and skill sets and experience. And might I add political will? Yes. Yeah. To be able to tackle the mining sector, because my heart bleeds so much when I see how much potential this industry has for this country, and yet the money is just going to a few private pockets to the detriment of the entire country.
Thank you so much. I'm just reading a story here on myjoyonline.com on Galamsey. 1 dead, 3 injured as pit collapses at Nkonting. And a 23-year-old man has tragically lost his life, while 3 others are in critical condition following the collapse of an illegal mining pit on Tuesday, December 17 at Nkonting near Nkwao in the Echimwa, Nwabieja South Municipality of the Ashanti region. These are the issues we're talking about. Hashtag Galamsey is still on. So, Mr. President-elect, I think Ghanaians have more expectations of you than the outgoing administration. So do out for us. Nana Asapong.
Yes.
Let's get into your paper. And if you have quick reflections on
just
what
a
we've
quick
discussed.
reflection on an earlier one that had to do with Professor Azar petitioning
the removal of... Yeah.
We left
that out.
Very critical, very necessary.
Okay.
I think that we need to do some cleansing. Some of our state institutions, arms of government need some cleansing. And the courts, it's one key area. See, between the 3 arms of government, the court, do you see our court today as a safe house?
Well, it's safe for some parliamentarians to run to.
So you see, there is a need for us to have cleansing. I had stated earlier that with the overwhelming victory and support that JDM has received from Ghanaians and the overwhelming majority in Parliament, there is a need for him to trigger Article 146. Very necessary. So that we would have some level of sanity in our court. And then Ghanaians, the ordinary Ghanaians like myself, can have that feel that the court is a safe house for me. Because as it stands, I mean, whatever is happening in some of these polling stations and constituencies wouldn't have happened if the candidates and their representatives had that feel or that sense of safety in the court. And I agree totally with Professor Azar. No, they shouldn't just be the CJ being the target. The entire court needs some cleansing. Very necessary. Now there's this.
Please hold for me. I'm sorry to do this. Afamoni, I know you wanted to reflect on the petition to remove
certainly,
the
yes.
Chief Justice. Please make it brief.
Ghana is touted as a beacon of rule of law. And it is said that confidence in the law is a critical element of rule of law. And we all know that confidence in the judiciary is on a precipitous decline. And there's a need to halt this decline. But we should be extra cautious. We should inject the highest dose of circumspection into this exercise to cleanse the court and to regain confidence or restore confidence in the judiciary. So these are my brief comments. Yeah.
Remy,
very briefly, yes. Yeah. I mean, the opposition NDC and I mean some well-meaning Ghanaians constantly criticize the move of the current President Kufuor as he kept appointing one Supreme Court justice after the other, one Supreme after the other. And so it again brings to mind one other issue, that's the need to set some limits.
Yeah, to cap the number of justices that we can have in
yes, ceiling.
To set a limit to, I think the Constitution only talks about a minimum number, but it doesn't put a ceiling or cap on it. And that's important because then what we're also going to witness is that the current president may also then, because then it was deemed that the president was packing with his.
I'm not sure if they can hear you because I know something just happened with your microphone. Let me take over and then if we can fix it, I'll come back to you.
No, I know the point he wanted to make, that there should be a ceiling.
Yeah,
and I think that had been
conversation.
That had been
go ahead.
Yes, that had actually been stated in the Great Transformational Plan.
Oh, okay.
And I heard Okujato also mention it on one of the TV stations when he was making a presentation just after there should be a ceiling.
Right.
Yeah.
There should be a ceiling.
Right.
And once there is a ceiling, you will notice that our politicians, let me put it this way, our politicians and persons who are responsible or have been given a constitutional powers to be able to appoint would be cautious when they are appointing individuals into it. We had actually even stated that the appointing authorities should actually have some, it should be devoid of the executive. All right? The appointment of constitutional independent bodies.
Yeah,
all right.
EC chairpersons,
the heads of security, the Chief Justice and all of that.
Let me take the win out of your sail. Remy, please land on your point for me. We have 2 minutes to go.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So the thing is, successive governments keep complaining about all these issues when they are in opposition. But these are some of the weaknesses in the Constitution they all take advantage of. But when they come into office and they realize, okay, power is so sweet, it gives so much unfettered power to the president, there's that reluctance. Again, it's an opportune moment for this president. I mean, so much, he has the opportunity to really do so much, to really cement his legacy in the history of this country.
Okay.
And then make all these changes. I mean, yes, I mean, I just don't know how to go over it, but let's make sure that all these changes are done so that no one will sit back and say that, look, you are making these appointments to favor you or to favor one party. But then it should be done by an independent body that nobody is going to complain about.
Right. We have the whole of 2025, the next 3 or 4 years to see how this government, this incoming administration also handles all these issues. But that's all that time will allow us for. Nanaya, yes, please go ahead. Read the headlines for us.
No recruitment warrants issued after December 7th. All processes accounted for in 2024 budget. Abba.
Abba says
At this last...
That's the information minister saying
when
that
was
no
the budget
recruitment
read?
warrants.
No, but when was the budget read? So you had a whole year to recruit party people and stroke Ghanaians. You didn't recruit.
Yeah. And that there is Nanaya Sapong, political assistant to Alan Shaman.
One final take.
Yes, ready.
My final submission is, yes, all the euphoria, all the buzz about elections is over.
Yes.
But one thing again I want to remind all Ghanaians, the media, including Joy News, to still keep up is for us to really, really amend our political funding bill. The monies politicians are spending on our elections.
Where are they coming from, eh?
We really need to. It's time. I mean, now all the buzz is gone, but let's really, one of the constitutional amendments, yes, I want this president to look at, is this particular issue. And
that is Remy Edmondson, General Secretary of the PPP. Afamoni, I'll give you 20 seconds to give us a
Christmas is some few days
25th is our birthday.
Yes.
And the lady in brown smiles.
Remy, you're the only new person in Jerusalem. 25th is my birthday.
Oh, now I understand why she likes singing Christmas carols.
Oh, I see.
And my son Gilbert in Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
Yes, he's also he shares the same birthday, almost the same birthday with Sweetie. And Christmas is the opportunity, the finest opportunity, momentous opportunity when God demonstrated his unfailing love and enacted his redemptive plan for humanity. It's a season of joy, pure joy, joy unconfined. So I'm taking the opportunity to sprinkle a joyous Christmas and the brightest New Year on all Ghanaians, especially the birthday girl.
That is Afamoni, former president of the GJA. When you meet me in town and I say Merry Christmas, respond and say Happy Birthday. My name is Sweetie Aboshi. Thanks for joining us for the news review segment. AM Sports comes up next, anchored by Haruna Mumbarak. Please stay tuned.